Like, what you think? I'm a fucking professor? I don't know.
All right, I don't know.
What's the difference between Chiang Mai and Iowa City? I have no idea. You can't ask me these kind of tough questions.
All right, we're on. We're recording.
Okay.
This is the 130th episode of Hard Caucus. This is our first episode of 2024. A big year. There's an election this year, right? And everyone is very just waiting, anticipating what's going to happen. The results are not predetermined. Who knows what could happen? Yeah, I don't know about you, but I feel like no one gives a shit, really.
I feel like people are just waiting for the shoe to drop where they actually might have to pay more attention to it.
Yeah.
Because most people, I don't think really want to pay any attention to it because it's kind of like a fucking disaster.
Can't blame them. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I don't know about predetermined, but I think maybe unprecedented, perhaps.
Well, depending on if certain things happen with Donald Trump, maybe.
Yeah. I think there could be some crazy shakeups possible, but it's really, really early to speculate on any of that. And if I don't know, people have been speculating Hillary might jump in at the convention, and Biden might step down. I don't think that's likely at all. But
well, people were saying that in 2020 too. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
I hope she does come back. I mean, now
would be
is the
funny.
time.
Honestly, she would wipe the floor this time. I think so. It might be a good idea.
Maybe, yeah. Okay. Anyway, we took a couple weeks off for the holiday season, and a lot of news happened in the meantime. The first thing I want to talk about today is not a super downer, really. I mean, it is and it isn't, but it's sort of a kind of a nice thing that happened. Last week, the Iowa City Council, the city of Iowa City's City Council, they passed a ceasefire resolution, calling for, a ceasefire in Gaza. And, boy, the Iowa City subreddit was upset about that. That's the big news is, Redditors angry. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can see if you don't pay attention at all to what led up to this, you can see how it's why would anyone give a shit that the city of Iowa City is asking for a ceasefire? But I feel like if you think about it for more than 30 seconds and you observe the actions of our federal government, you sort of see where this came from. There's the people who actually could stop this very much want this to be happening. They are funding and eagerly doing a genocide. So the majority of people who think that that's bad have to, I don't know, advocate for it some other way.
Yeah. Dumping red paint on Anthony Blinken. That was pretty sick.
That's one way. Yeah.
I endorse that.
Yeah. So this passed, of course, it did not pass unanimously. This was passed 4-3 by the Iowa City Council. And there's a kind of a correlation between members of the city council who were extremely concerned about some words spoken on our podcast back in 2022 and those who are very concerned about the wording of this ceasefire resolution, namely councilors Sean Harmson and Megan Alter, who are enemies of what should I call them? Enemies of mine. I'll say they're my personal enemies. Yeah. And Josh Moe was the third. He was recently elected. And yes, his name is literally Joe Schmo.
That's awesome.
People have made jokes about it, but I don't think enough people have made jokes about it. It's a very obvious joke and needs to be hammered. Yeah.
Ripe name for jokes.
Yeah. And their main concern, at least, it's a bunch of liberal bullshit, their main concern, as they said it, was that they were concerned that passing this would cause harm to certain members of the Iowa City community who had not had the opportunity to express their own concerns or be part of the process here. And they're just full of shit. Like, I have this press release from Iowa City Action for Palestine, which is a group of people who were organizing to push for something like this to happen. In their press release, they sort of respond to those concerns. The original resolution text was endorsed by 22 local organizations and more than 150 individuals. Endorsers include Jews in Solidarity with Palestine, First United Methodist Church of Iowa City, UE Local 896 COGS, which is the Graduate Student Union, Teamsters Local 238, Great Plains Action Society, which is like an indigenous advocacy organization, Iowa City First Mennonite Church, Sammy Sheets, who's a state legislator in Cedar Rapids, I believe the first Muslim to ever be elected to that. I don't think that's true. He has some sort of record for first of his demographic. Yeah.
Okay. Don't know on that one.
Yeah. Anyway, members of the Iowa City Human Rights Commission, Iowa City Mosque, and a synagogue is what is listed here.
Okay. That seems like a pretty diverse coalition of different interests.
Yeah.
Seems like probably relatively representative of Iowa City as a whole.
They put a lot of thought into like who gets to craft this statement. And they also in this press release sort of criticize there was some like last minute change to the wording, which pissed me off as well. The original wording was where is it? Here, yeah. The original title of the resolution called for a return of all captives. And it was amended at the request of Andrew Dunn, another counselor who did vote for the resolution. It was changed to return of all hostages.
Oh.
So they traded the word captive for hostage.
Okay. That seems like a political ploy there, considering all of
that seems like it narrows down who they're calling for the return of, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people pointed out that, like, Israel, like, has, like, tons of Palestinian, but they don't call them captives. They're just, like, prisoners who are there without any, like, due process whatsoever. And I think, like, a lot of them are like, teenagers and probably have very little connection to any, like, militant groups. But those don't count when it comes to, like, the discussions of, like, the hostages.
Right. That's exactly what they say here, like why they are disappointed that the wording was changed. This language excludes the more than 8,600 Palestinian captives, of whom 3,291 are held without charges. Yeah.
I think that meets the definition, like, of hostage, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess other than they're not,
so.
like, negotiating. I guess the difference is Hamas is negotiating and Israel isn't.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that was the reason that bothered me so much is that these three members of the council who are just so concerned that this may send the wrong message, or what they really hammered on was like, there hasn't been enough time spent discussing this to make it exactly what it should be. Which is always that's how they shot down Laura Burgess's amendment to like change police funding a few months back. They're like, there just hasn't been enough time to discuss this proposal, and so we have to, kick the can down the road.
We haven't found the secret combination of words that will like make no one mad at us.
Yeah, which it's just not going to happen, So they were so concerned that not enough time had been spent on this. And then as soon as this other guy brings up a few like little very nitpicky changes in wording, they immediately, like, that was unanimous. They were all like, yeah, we can change that, whatever.
Yeah.
So not enough people were involved in crafting the statement itself, which was endorsed by over 150 people, 22 organizations. But you 7 can just decide in an instant that the wording of it should be changed. It's bullshit.
Well, I will say the Des Moines City Council is not going to be even voting on any
I know.
ceasefire resolutions anytime soon. So
yeah,
I guess it's better than nothing.
And I mean, for all the good it does, it's good to do this and like, have some solidarity with people in the community who are personally affected by what's going on, of which there are plenty.
I mean, it's like pretty obvious. Like I mentioned the paint thing on Anthony Blinken, but like that gets the attention of elected officials or government officials more so than any like going through the proper channels. Like it's so obvious at this point. Like they're not gonna, like, the Biden administration isn't gonna change course on this at this point because they've already. It's sunk cost fallacy. Like
right.
They're not, like, they've invested too much bullshit, and like anything that they do now is just going to fall on deaf ears anyway. Like it's horrible. I hate it.
That's really dark, thinking of it as like a sunk cost thing, but that is what it is. You know, if they,
and it's not just Biden. It's like decades of inertia. Face. Yeah, it's like decades of momentum from American-Israeli relations. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't know, like, like everyone's like, Biden is putting all this pressure on Israel. It's like, it's so transparently not true. They're
don't
still
even know how they
doing
can
backdoor
claim that.
Arms deals. Yeah, I mean,
like there's headlines coming out like he's circumventing congressional approval to send them more money and weapons.
Yeah, which is ceremonial.
What's the fucking pressure?
It's like, yeah. He's given the weapons, but saying that they shouldn't use them on civilians as much.
Please kill fewer completely innocent people.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Gotten darker. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. People were talking about hospitals being bombed like a month ago, and like, would Israel do this? And then now it's like been like 5 more.
Yeah, completely accepted that. Of course they're doing it, but they have to.
Yeah. Yeah, because Hamas is hiding AK-47s and incubators.
Well, speaking of horrible stuff, this is a topic we can't really have any fun with at all, but I feel like, we have to acknowledge it. It is the biggest news of the past couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. The school shooting in Perry, Iowa. That was Thursday, right?
I think it was not sure. Yeah, probably.
Oh, well, anyway, an 11-year-old boy, Amir Joliffe, was killed by a 17-year-old who came to the school early and opened fire on like a cafeteria of kids. Nothing fun can be said about that, obviously. I guess what we can talk about is like the response from our elected officials and people running for president, which it may surprise you, insufficient. The things that they say are insufficient to solving the problem or addressing the
It's another one where
issue.
It's absolutely not responsive to public input at all. It's like pretty much no one has any like hope that any of the stuff has any sort of like solution, and it's like the same thing. Like it's like inertia from lax gun laws for years and the Second Amendment and all that stuff, and
which
it's just like at an impasse.
It has an obvious, like capitalism way of understanding it, where it's like you don't want to impact the profits of weapons manufacturers, but I feel like that's not everything, because like
no, I think that's a smaller part of it.
So bought in, yeah.
I mean. I don't give a fuck about the Second Amendment. Like, I don't give a fuck. No. Like, I'm not really going to be one of those, like, people who are like, oh yeah, if all the leftists have guns, then everything will be good. And this might piss some people off, but sorry. That's, I trust a self-professed leftist with a gun as about as much as I trust a self-professed rightist with a gun, to be entirely honest. I mean, in a situation like this, like, when it comes down to like a good guy with a gun, shit.
Yeah, just more people with guns doesn't stop these events from happening. Like, very rarely does another person with a gun being present have any impact on what happens. Yeah.
No. And I don't, like, a gun, is that a good self-defense tool? Like, I don't think so. If everyone else has a gun, then, like, what are you even doing?
Yeah.
It's who shoots first at that point.
Yeah. What we need is everyone just needs to be wearing full body bulletproof armor at all times, and that'll solve the problem. Okay, well, first we can start with what Donald Trump said the day after the shooting in an event. I forget exactly where this was happening. Oh, Sioux Center, Iowa. It's labeled. So this is the short clip of what he said. This is the day after the shooting happened in Perry. A child was killed, several people injured, including the principal of the school, who last I saw is in stable condition, according to his daughter, which isn't necessarily great, but he's alive.
Yeah.
So Trump had a rally in Sioux Center, Iowa, the day after the shooting, and again, this is a very short clip, but this is something he said about it.
It's terrible to see that happening. That's just horrible. So surprising to see it here, but I have to get over it.
So,
yeah,
we have to get over it. Is what he said.
Yeah.
When I first saw this, I was like, "Damn, this! I wish this mattered."
Right.
like, isn't this just about like the most flippant, horrible thing you
It's
could
the most
say
callous
about
thing
this?
you can really say about it.
Yeah.
It happened. It's time to get over it. Like
The day
a
after.
day after it happened.
Yeah. And it's become so common that these things just happen every day. It's like he's the type of guy who doesn't have a filter, and he just like, yeah, we do just have to get over it because it happens every fucking day. This isn't special,
Mm-hmm.
But he's saying it, to the people it happened to.
Yeah,
basically.
I guess that's what I mean. It's like there's not even any like pretense like we're gonna do anything about this.
Right.
Even like fucking Biden or any elected Democrats. You think Rob Sands is gonna come out and say that there should be more more strict gun laws? Like absolutely fucking not. Not with his bow hunting bullshit.
I did see that he said something, but I didn't read it. So
he did, but it was like just a.
Did you read it? Okay.
Yeah, I saw it. It was I tried to avoid reading I skimmed it, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely didn't have anything about like calls for action. It was just like our sympathies.
Sure, yeah. And I mean, what else can they fucking say?
Right, nothing. Like
you can't make any promises. Like what's going to happen? Nothing. So this 8-second clip of Trump saying it's very surprising to see it happen here, which first of all, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and then saying we have to get over it. I don't know what makes it surprising,
I think that's just pandering to Iowans.
Yeah, just something to say. Yeah.
It would never happen here. Yeah.
You guys couldn't possibly cause something like this to happen. Like, what? It's not your fault. Yeah. So of course, as would happen with any 8-second clip, there's hundreds of internet dickheads saying, "Oh, that's out of context. How dare you?" And to be fair, this was shared by a Joe Biden propaganda Twitter account. But what context could possibly change the meaning of that? We have to get over it.
Right. Yeah. Well, what did he say after that? It did cut abruptly, and I think I've seen some people being like, "Oh, but that's not what he meant." Blah blah blah. What was there any more context that I'm not aware of that makes this in any way better?
So one of the people yelling about how this removes all context, who is of course just a crazy right wing Twitter idiot, posted a 57-second clip. So let's check that out. See if the context softens the blow at all.
Before going further, I want to send our support and our deepest sympathies to the victims and families touched by the terrible school shooting yesterday in Perry, Iowa. To the entire community, we love you, we pray for you, and we ask God to heal and comfort really the whole state and the pain that you have. This is something that's very unique to your state. We're really with you as much as anybody can be. It's a very terrible thing that happened, and it's just horrible to see that happening. That's just horrible. So surprising to see it here. But have to get over it. We have to move forward. But to the relatives and to all of the people that are so devastated right now, to a point they can't breathe, they can't live, we are with you all the way. We're with you, and we love you and cherish you. We're also really delighted today to...
Yes. Okay. So you guys can't see this, but
yeah, this is what I'm laughing at here. Well, first off, the video that Justin's showing me is apparently from Twitter, and it says at Biden HQ. Let's see the whole video. Nice try, asshole. But they like censored the S's to make it's not like a $sign, but it's some other sort of symbol.
I don't know what that's called. The S with the circle in it.
Yeah. And then what the fuck network is this? It just says War Room in the bottom right corner. Is it like OAN or whatever?
And then it says Real America's Voice.
Real America's Voice. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the RAV. network.
From what I can tell, there are just like dozens of YouTube channels that live stream, like they like rip the live stream feed of Trump rallies and like play it on their own channels. So who knows like where this originated, but there's an advertisement from Birch Gold Group that just pops up along the side as he's, pretending to have sympathy for the victims of a mass shooting. Just really, drives it home like, no one gives a fuck about this. Please buy gold.
Right. Yeah, it's just thoughts and prayers again. But I haven't actually seen, do you know if there's any like conspiracy theories like saying it's like a false flag, like Sandy Hook or anything like that? Because like it seems like that doesn't even, well, I guess maybe people are worried about legal liability issues after the Alex Jones thing.
There have been some consequences for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not seen any of that like firsthand. I did see somebody lamenting that was happening, but I hadn't seen any of that myself.
I've also seen people.
This is not a topic I've been trying to read a lot about, though.
Me neither. Yeah. But I've also seen apparently some folks are saying that some folks are saying that the shooter was like secretly trans or something.
Yeah, which I think happens with every single instance. Of this. Yeah.
They're like trying to like read their like facial bone structure to to get to the bottom as if they're actually trans.
Yeah, disgusting. And that's kind of what sparked the anti-Bud Light shit, was that like some shooter had some kind of gender thing, and then Bud Light had a trans person on a beer can, and they're like, how dare you?
Wow.
Yeah, it's trying to scapegoat a small population of people. It's nothing new,
Yeah, very bad.
Yeah, awful. And the shooter himself, of course, is also dead now. So,
and also like seems like they had left a pretty like a lot of warning signs that they might be like, apparently they're posing with guns on like TikTok or Snapchat or something, and also
some shit.
I saw people saying that like he was like classmates of his saying that he was bullied like all the way from middle school, and that like they not saying that they weren't surprised, but like that they understood like some of the motive behind it.
Right, something that may have driven this to happen. Yeah. It's hard to talk about this. Like what's going to happen? Well, nothing. Again.
Yep.
The leading candidate for president says get over it, and it's not going to drive any of his voters away,
And yeah, I can't imagine like Biden released a statement.
I'm sure he did, but again, I didn't
like,
look at it.
Whatever. It happens so often. Like, they're not. It's not something that he's going to want to be beating a drum for election season.
Yeah, it's too risky to say that like, if we had fewer guns out there, maybe fewer kids would be killed by them. That's too risky for a Democratic candidate to say.
I guess so.
Speaking of, though, insufficient statements from public officials, let's hear what Ashley Hinson had to say. Representative for Iowa's... Wait, is she the 2nd district now? They switched it, right? I'm in the 1st now. And Cedar Rapids is 2nd.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure the numbers flipped. So she had a town hall. I think this was also the day after the shooting. This is what she said. These are horrific tragedies, and anyone who decides to go to school, a grocery, any public event with this kind of hate in their hearts is an absolute monster. And I think if we could legislate away this kind of hate, we would have done it by now. I think there is a balance to be had here between protecting our Second Amendment rights in this country, which I've been a firm supporter of, and making sure that we can actually hold the bad guys accountable. So there's a couple things there to think about. If we could legislate away this kind of hate, we would have done it by now. So this was caused by hate? Like that's... the shooter had hate in their heart, and that's why this happened, and there's no way to legislate away hate.
Yeah. And I guess the solution would be stricter punishments for someone who's already dead.
Holding the bad guys accountable. Well, as happens with almost every one of these, the perpetrator does not survive the event. So what do you want to happen? Who is the bad guy that we can hold accountable for this? punitive responses
gun manufacturers
after the fact. Right, exactly. Like if you're going to be punishing someone, you have to punish someone who's still around who contributed to this happening. Obviously, you don't want to do that. So what are you saying? You're just trying to say something that sounds good and then move on. I think that's right.
Right. Yeah.
That's all they can do. And then Zach Nunn, who is the 3rd district representative, your representative.
My rep, yep.
And the representative of Perry, Iowa. So this is his turf. He released this statement. As a parent and community member, I'm beyond angry. My heart and my commitment to holding those accountable is with the community of Perry. We have a duty to protect our children, families, and educators. I remain in touch with first responders and local leaders in Perry, and I will continue to monitor the situation closely. We will not rest until there is full accountability for this heinous act of violence. So he went with anger. Like, that's sentence number 1. He's angry about it, which I suppose is reasonable. You should be mad that this happened. You should definitely be sad also. And again, accountability. I mean, they don't mean it, but what are they even trying to pretend that they mean?
Yeah, that's a crazy one. Like, he held himself accountable.
I guess so. Or made it impossible to hold him accountable.
Yeah, it's like,
if you want to pin this on just the person who actually did the crime, you know?
Yeah. Surprised they're not like talking about like, well, he was white, I guess. So I was going to say like, they're talking about like culture of violence, like secular values, like, that kind of thing. Like, but apparently also this kid's, his parents were like very active in the community. I think his dad actually worked in like government, in Perry or something.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I wasn't intentionally reading a lot about this. I did see that Governor Kim Reynolds also said something about monitoring the situation closely. And that should put us all at ease, you know. Kim Reynolds and Zach Nunn are, in the days following a heinous event, are monitoring the situation closely. What does that mean? What are you doing? You know?
Monitoring a situation that's already like over?
Great. Thanks for the help. I guess real briefly, what would accountability for this look like? You know, you very briefly mentioned that, you know, maybe gun manufacturers should be held accountable to some degree. What else could we do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about accountability. I mean, you could do things to like prevent things like this from happening, which again,
they're focusing
not going to be
on
solutions anyone's going to like, but at least from like a libertarian anarchist perspective. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would say like very lucrative gun buyback programs would be like the first like thing that I think you could maybe get people to agree to, but then like it's going to be like who funds it, that sort of thing. I don't want my tax dollars go to gun grabbing, like shit like that. I mean, they do gun buyback sometimes, but it's like they're not offering enough to make it like the incentive worth it for most people. Right.
Yeah. And even when they do, it just means that, you know, only very wealthy people keep their guns.
Yeah, I don't. There's no really good solution.
Yeah, that's the problem with American gun culture.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is telling that all of what these people said is very focused on, it's a very like crime and punishment thing. Like after the fact. What do we do to what are the ramifications of this one singular event? As if it's not happening everywhere every day.
Yeah. Right. And then like what? The death penalty, like that's going to deter people who are going to do this kind of thing?
Yeah, who already like, mostly kill themselves once they're done.
It's not, it doesn't.
Yeah. None of them have any words to say for like, how do we maybe prevent the next one?
Yeah.
There's no deterrent that's going to, you know, like
it's such
criminal
an
deterrent.
Extreme crime of like desperation. Like there's no deterrent.
Yeah.
Other than like, again, I mean, yeah, mental health counseling, obviously, but I don't know. I mean, like mental health treatment in this country is also like kind of a joke.
Pretty lacking.
Even if there was more accessibility, I still think I don't know if the things that we're pushing are, I don't know. It's thorny.
Yeah, I mean, schools have counselors, right?
Yeah, but as the kids who are going to do this sort of thing, going to talk to them, I
Probably
have
not.
no fucking clue.
Yeah. Well, not going to be solved anytime soon. It would be great if people who had power and influence in this country took it seriously at all, but no. No one. What about something fun? You know where Scott County is, right?
Yeah, it's Davenport.
Right, that's Davenport. I just happened to come across this yesterday or maybe the day before. The Twitter account for the Scott County Democrats is posting. I mean, I would call it racist, just weird racist.
Yeah, I would call it racist too.
So, there are two candidates for the Republican nomination for president who are of Indian heritage. There's Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy, of course. Now, they are both, pretty right-wing people, and I guess the point that the Scott County Dems account was trying to make is that these are two people who have benefited from immigration, right? But they are supporting fairly anti-immigrant policy. Well, in Vivek's case, very anti-immigrant policy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how much Nikki gets into that.
I don't think Haley's got a real great immigration policy either. I don't think Joe Biden does either. I think it's actually pretty fucking horrible, and it's like a fucking joke to even act like, oh, we're gonna hit them for hypocrisy on immigration. Like, look at the fucking president. I swear to fucking God.
As with every issue, yeah, not a lot of daylight between Joe Biden and the Republicans. So anyway, they've been quote tweeting like stories about Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy, and just
which weren't even about immigration. It was like
I don't know.
It was like an interview. I found the Nikki Haley one. It was a reply about Des Moines Register pre-caucus interview.
Oh, sure.
Maybe she talked about immigration, but it's like you're not really getting your point across if is your so-called point.
Yeah, hers was mostly about like economy stuff, if I remember right. We may get into that in our next episode. But anyway, they were just posting the full names of these two candidates, which are, these are people of Indian background, so Indian names. Like, I mean, Vivek Ramaswamy, of course, he uses his like full birth name, so it's clear. But
and like Nikki, I think has gone by Nikki for like a long time, predating her political career.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it's just like a nickname she had as a kid.
Yeah, and Haley is her husband's last name, so it's like, well, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so what they posted was Nimarata Nikki Randhawa Haley and Vivek Ganapathy Ramaswamy. And no context at all, like just posting their names, and it's
in quotes. Like, oh wait, what? Maybe not in quotes. But either way,
the Vivek one is in quotes.
Oh, the Vivek one. Okay, the Nikki Haley one is not.
There's no quotes around that one. But like, what does that look like? What message do you think you're sending?
You
to people?
are literally the Barack Hussein Obama guys. Right, that is literally what you are doing.
Yeah, very weird to do.
But like, we're supposed to interpret it more positively because it's like a Democrat organization saying it. Mm-hmm. It's coded less racist just by
Democrat.
Yeah. But I will say the response, people have been shitting on him like crazy. Like,
yeah, everyone has been criticizing it. Like,
yeah.
The screenshot I put here in the document, like John Deeth,
yeah,
who I'm not a big fan of,
right?
But he was criticizing them. Scott County Dems, or at least their social media manager, seem obsessed with implying that Indian names and heritage are somehow bad. #racist.
I love to go on Twitter and search #racist. See what's going on in the world of racism.
Just checking out the most recent racist posts.
Yeah, that's something we need a tag to keep track of.
And then they defended themselves by saying Haley and Ramaswamy both support MAGA. Mm-hmm. You want me to pronounce it that way, everyone?
Oh,
MAGA?
Yeah. I didn't get what you're getting at. Yes. MAGA.
supports
I like MAGA better because it's like, yeah, well, we talked about it. It's like mogging, you know?
Yeah. Anyway, they both support MAGA, anti-immigration sentiment out loud. They are children of immigrants. If Dems don't call out their hypocrisy and lies, voters will never know.
All right.
If more voters were conscious of hypocrisy, that would really change things here.
Just delete the tweets, you fucking idiots. Is that so hard?
And Laura Bellin also weighed in on this and said, so criticize their stance on those issues. Highlighting their names just makes you look racist or xenophobic. Agreed?
Yep.
And they said, we will be more careful to put it into context, but engaging in the typical progressive practice of rational argument will not have any impact at all. So,
that's not...
I'm not totally opposed to that principle. However, you do look pretty racist just posting their names like that. But I do agree. I mean, do they not recognize that trying to emphasize hypocrisy of Republican candidates is really in line with the, quote, typical progressive practice of rational argument?
Right, yeah. They've been
like you are trying to do like rational debate argument shit.
I can imagine OPAC putting their names on a billboard. I mean, if they were more relevant anyway, which is like, I don't know. Obviously, like Nikki Haley has been like surging in the polls, and now she's like the new surging, quote unquote. She's like the new DeSantis guy, or woman.
Sure, yeah.
But that's like totally like a media thing where they're like has to be like, we can't not talk about the primary, and like even though there's like an obvious person who's going to win the primary, we have to like talk about these other people to make it seem like maybe there's like a snowball's chance in hell of them.
There's something worth giving a shit about here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's still polling third in Iowa, at least. Last
really?
I looked. Yeah.
DeSantis is ahead?
Just barely, I think, from my last check-in.
Well, I guess, yeah, I mean, maybe that Kim Reynolds endorsement is carrying some water. I will say there's a Tim Scott yard sign that was near my house that has been replaced with two Ron DeSantis 2024 signs.
Oh, wow. Okay, so their guy is out, so now they got to double down on another guy.
I guess so, yeah.
Although my speculation was that was somebody working for Tim Scott.
Yeah, right? Well, they might have switched teams.
Maybe they got a new job, which supplied them with two signs. So,
yeah.
Speaking of endorsements, though, you brought up the Kim Reynolds endorsement of DeSantis. Two terrible governors have to team up, you know. There was another very notable endorsement recently. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'll just play the video of it. And I want to note that, well, I'll say it after. Here's the video.
I'm Congressman Steve King. I've been looking for the strongest voice we have that'll defend our Constitution and restore the pillars of American exceptionalism. That's Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek is going to stand up and is standing up for the rights of we the people. He will build the wall on the border for real. And I'm asking you to come with me on January 15th, caucus for Vivek Ramaswamy, the strongest voice we have to defend our Constitution and to reestablish America's destiny is Vivek Ramaswamy.
Okay. This is notable to me, anyway. Former Congressman Steve King endorses Vivek Ramaswamy for president for the Iowa caucus. Steve King has been, anyway, a pretty influential voice in the Iowa caucuses in the past. He probably has less sway now than he did, but, I mean, we've talked about this before, that, you know, he was sort of ousted from the upper levels of the Republican Party, but still, I mean, everyone in his community is still pretty down with him.
Yeah, for sure. It was more that he was not doing after he got taken off of those committees, it was like, oh, he can't do a good enough job of representing us.
Right.
Not that there was necessarily a huge problem with what he said or did.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much how Feenstra was able to take him out in a primary. It was all politics.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much impact this could possibly have. I mean, obviously Vivek's not going to win the Iowa caucuses, but this does seem like, to me, kind of a savvy political move.
Yeah. It'll help him, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wanted to note that when Steve King announced this endorsement, he tweeted a link to his Dropbox where this video was.
Dropbox. It's
yeah.
2010.
It's also on Vivek's YouTube page, but I thought it was like really funny that he was just linking straight to a Dropbox download.
Yeah. Does he pay for Dropbox Premium? He's going to run out of bandwidth real quick there.
I don't know
maybe
what
not.
else he could possibly have on there.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how many Steve King supporters are really capable of using computers proficiently.
I don't know. I mean, he's got the support of a lot of the like Stormfront type people.
Oh, true.
They know how to use computers.
That's true.
One thing that's interesting in this video, though, is that there's a brief clip of Vivek's speech at the Register soapbox at the state fair, which was an event that we were present for.
Yeah, but it was standing room only. Had to make way for a man on a rascal scooter. So we're pushed out of frame. Didn't make it into the ad.
I mean, we are like shockingly close to having appeared in a Steve King, Vivek Ramaswamy collab.
It would be very
video.
obvious because I was standing right next to Jake, who was black, and I don't think there's any black people in this screenshot.
No, it's yeah. I mean, you know, it's the Iowa State Fair. It's going to be a pretty big sea of white people in general. But that is who Vivek Ramaswamy's campaign is courting. I said this to someone the other day, that he is like, he's courting the Christian white supremacist vote on hard mode.
Yeah, that's right.
Because he is neither white nor Christian. So he's sort of challenging himself. Like, how many?
Yeah. I
how
mean, it
many
helps
racist
that he has
Christians
like.
can I get to vote for me?
It helps that he's like almost a billionaire.
Sure, yeah, he can dump a ton of money into the campaign, and that never hurts. But I guess that's why I think of this as kind of a savvy political move, is like the bombastic nature of his like campaign planks is very much an attempt to win over the Steve King crowd.
Sure. Yeah. And it makes a lot of sense from Steve King's perspective too, because he gets to endorse both a hard far right guy, and also gets to pretend that, he's not racist because Vivek has brown skin.
Right.
It's good ammunition for the future of whatever Steve King is doing. What is Steve King doing these days?
I don't know what his end game is here. I think he's kind of just chilling.
Yeah.
But another thing that kind of is a point of alignment between the two of them. And again, we'll probably save this for next week if you want to do another Sunday recording next week, Evan.
I'll be available.
Vivek's kind of final pitch to the Iowa caucus voter is that he is an anti-pipeline guy. And we know, of course, from our friend Emma Schmidt, that has been a recent activity of Steve King's as well, is anti-pipeline activism. Which, again, is a savvy move from Vivek. I read all of the opinion pieces that all of these candidates put in the Register over the past week as their like final pitch. He's the only one talking about that. And it's not going to win him the caucuses, but that is a segment of the voting population that no one else is pandering to. Yeah,
that's pretty savvy. Will he crack 10%?
I
don't think so,
it.
but
well, he didn't even make it to this last debate that's happening this week, right?
There's debates.
I think the debate's just going to be DeSantis and Haley. God, who wants to watch that? Because Trump's not going to go, even though he qualified.
No, of course.
You know?
Yeah, why would he?
He's having his own thing. And I guess I didn't put this in the notes, but since Vivek did not get into the debate, he is having his own event in Des Moines as well, hosted by Tim Pool.
I know. Okay, I saw you post something about this. That's fucking crazy. Again, like what is Tim Pool's draw? What kind of like, does he have like? I mean, I know he's got like a fucking show or whatever.
Yeah, he definitely.
Like, I can't imagine
numbers.
I can't imagine that like his name recognition is like any better than Ramaswamy's.
I don't know. Yeah, I really don't know. I wanted to try
that's not the point, but
I wanted to try to go to that, but it sold out before I got a chance. And I don't know, like, if they're charging money for tickets to this thing.
Yeah, I was
like,
going to say that might
events
be.
are usually free.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Yeah, it's not, this seems like it might be for the true Ramaswamy heads, and not for the general public.
Yeah, and I think they have not announced where it is yet. I would have loved to have been in that room
to avoid counter protests for Tim Pool.
Right, yeah. What kind of place, what kind of event could this be? What are they going to talk about? I don't know if Vivek has been on his show before. That's not a guy that I really pay attention to.
No, I don't think you really need to.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about Vivek for a while. I have a voicemail relevant to him as well. You remember there was a guy who called in and said he lives in the same building as the Vivek team. He called back.
Hell yeah.
So his previous call was asking us, I just found this out. Vivek, his family, his campaign staff live in the same building as me. What should I do? Our suggestions were nothing or sort of gaslight them. I forget exactly what it was. But just, make their life slightly uncomfortable. Well, we got a follow-up. He called back. So this is our caller who lives with Vivek Ramaswamy.
What's up? Update on the Vivek Ramaswamy lives in my apartment building story. I met him last night. I met the businessman Vivek himself. The first thing he said to me was, "Hello. Please, sir, your dogs are upsetting my son," because they were barking at him. Indeed, he looked upset. I said, "Nice to meet you, sir." He said, "What? Your dog's barking too loud." "All right. Have a great night." So that was last night. I'm looking at his bodyguard right now. He's doing push-ups, bar-ups on the outdoor gym. Vivek, report on Vivek. He was shorter in person than I thought he would be.
Yeah.
And, that's it. He has a good smile.
He does have a good smile. That's true. He's very personable.
Yeah, he's a good-looking guy.
In a freakish way. Yeah.
Yeah. He's terrifying to me. He's sort of
yeah.
And I don't mean this in like a bigoted way. He's sort of an antichrist figure, I think. And it's not because of his religious background. It's just sort of like the way he portrays himself and his sort of his charm. He has a level of charisma, and he's advocating for basically the destruction of Earth.
Yeah. Fossil fuels.
Yeah, he's a scary guy, I think. Yeah, it's a fun story, you know. Try to keep your dogs well behaved, friend. I don't want you to get into any trouble with any of those beefy bodyguards.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, he doesn't like dogs. That's not. You should publicize that. Mm-hmm. That's gonna hurt him.
Yeah, Vivek Ramaswamy not socializing his children with dogs. That's very anti-American.
That is. I will say that seeing him rap "Lose Yourself" at the state fair might have been the funniest thing that I witnessed in 2023.
Yeah,
that was pretty. Did not expect that to happen, and when it did, it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to rap at the Tim Pool live podcast.
Yeah, you need to get in.
If you have a way for me to get into that without having a ticket, reach out. I would not mind spending an evening with Tim Pool and Vivek Ramaswamy. If you have any stories about meeting any candidates, they're all over the state right now, so I'm sure they're having a lot of uncomfortable run-ins with regular Iowa folks. So feel free to tell us about your interactions with these inhuman interlopers. I guess they're
inhuman interlopers.
Yeah,
they got it.
Our number is 319-849-8733 if you have any dog-related stories. And while we're on the subject of contacting us, we also have a P.O. box you can send physical mail to. P.O. Box 5336 in Coralville, Iowa, zip code 52241. Is there anything else we want to talk about, or are we just in the plug zone and then signing off?
I don't have a whole lot for you there. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, don't forget, I know that, nobody really cares about it this year because the results are predetermined, but the caucus is January 15th. Maybe an opportunity for shenanigans if anyone has the night off. My plan is to register as a Republican and caucus for Ryan Binkley, the lowest polling candidate as of now. So,
yeah, Ryan Binky.
We got Ryan Binky here. What is Ryan Binky doing here? Who is Ryan Binky?
I may have stories to tell on the podcast after that happens. Maybe an opportunity for you to have some fun and call in and tell us about what happens to you if you do something like that. I'd also like local people here in Johnson County, Iowa, to be aware that my friend Mandy Remington has announced a campaign for Johnson County Supervisor. I think that's worth paying attention to. Mandy4supervisor.com is her website. That's the number 4. Mandy4supervisor. I just, for clarity, Mandy is Mandi also.
Got it.
I'll be keeping an eye on that, trying to, be involved with the campaign in appropriate ways going forward. If you enjoy our show, there is a way for you to get more of the show by spending $1 per month at patreon.com/rockhardcaucus. Released an episode with our friend Tony just yesterday where we discussed a couple of Sonic the Hedgehog comics. I know that may seem kind of tangential to the main subject of this podcast, but it is a way for us to get into kind of weird, different conversations.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has any appeal to you. You may be interested in the Patreon.
That's content, baby. I just saw something funny. Donald Trump Jr. Retweeted, or he actually posted a screenshot on Instagram of a Thomas Leno killer, if you're familiar with him on Twitter.
Yeah.
A tweet that says, "If you get molested by Stephen Hawking, that's on you."
Oh, yeah,
Donald Trump Jr. has endorsed this sentiment, unironically.
He just shared it and like, what, thumbs up?
He said, "All kidding aside, don't let the memes of Stephen Hawking take away from the other pedophile elites that are still around and still live in comfortably with no accountability or repercussions for their disgusting actions."
This is your father. Like, what the fuck?
Actually, I'm sorry, I missed the first part of that, which is, this is wrong, but not wrong.
Oh, okay. Wrong, but not wrong. Wow. Yeah, that guy has a podcast too. Pendejo Time?
Pendejo Time, yeah.
That's him, yeah. Yeah, kind of an edgy joke that a lot of people got really mad about. But yeah, Epstein was friends with Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, there was like a bunch of science. Like, remember Steven Pinker, the evolutionary biologist who is also on Epstein's Island? He does not enjoy it very much if you accuse him of pedophilia. Any of those like science guys, you get to like that level of notability. I mean, there's probably something suspect going on.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, this is not suspect. I will be on the radio in Chicago this Thursday.
Oh, really? What for?
Yeah. Me and Brian are going to play a set at this college radio station, WZRD.
Nice.
I looked at the map of their like broadcast area. It's very small. So if you happen to live close to WZRD, you can listen live on the radio, but they also stream it online. So, yeah, that'll be fun. I'll put the recording somewhere once I have it. And we're going to close out with some music by a local band called Tree Cloud, which I was very excited to see that they released an album. This is a band that I was booking at shows like 9 years ago, and they have finally released like their first album.
Nice.
Incredible, like really funky stuff. So I want more people to know about them.
Cool.
If you are listening and you are a musician and you want people to know about you and your work, check out rockhardcock.us, our website. There's a link near the top where you can submit your own music to be featured at the end of this podcast. Please do that. I want to support the work of local artists as much as possible. Okay, well, that was Rock Hard Caucus episode 130. Next week, I think we're going to probably do episode 131.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Oh,
See
yeah. I'm also going to try to put together a series reviewing Slipknot albums.
Yep, I'm game for that.
So
I
if you're
saw
listening,
that,
and that sounds fun, that'll be
Corey
on the Patreon
Taylor
too.
canceled his solo tour because of like mental health issues, I believe. First off, I didn't know he had a solo career. But hope you're feeling better, buddy.
Yeah, that's something that happened at Knotfest. Is a band had to cancel for the same reason.
It was Faith No More.
Yeah,
Mike
Faith
Patton.
No More. Yeah, right. Of course.
Yeah.
The band that I most wanted to see. Yeah.
Also, Mr. Bungle, Mike Patton band, apparently one of the founding members, who is like a woodwinds guy, has been accused of murdering his girlfriend.
Oh, shit. Well, that's
something
no
I
good.
saw recently.
Yeah.
Big Mr. Bungle fan, but not a fan of murdering your girlfriend.
No, murder is bad. Okay, well, before we start talking about Viper and stuff, we should probably stop.
Oh, yeah. All right, sounds good.
All right, bye, everyone.
Yeah, I don't know. Getting into dangerous territory here.